Hello, my name is Dan Clevishaw. I'm the president of FOSS North America, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to part 2 of our webinar series on FOSS analytics in feed and feed ingredients. This topic will be presented by Andy LaFollette and Ashley Gierach, and will focus on the claims process, how FOSS NIR solutions can help you manage your claims strategy, and how this strategy can be used to improve your feed consistency and maximize your business's profitability.
Hello, my name is Andy LaFollette and I work in FOSS Global Key Accounts. This webinar will show how NIR technology saves time, serves as a solution to managing ingredient variation, and supports continuous improvements for feed manufacturing by enhancing the accuracy and agility of changes that keep you a step ahead. Our presentation shows real data of soybean meal shipments, overviews the claims process with examples, and reveals multiple facets of value that NIR brings to your feed business. Does this moisture variation look familiar to you? This moisture data is from a Midwest US feed producer and was performed by a certified third-party laboratory. If each data point is representative of 30 trucks of soybean meal, is this feed producer measuring often enough? Unfortunately, this routine analysis was not used to initiate a quality claims process with the supplier, despite the high average and variability in delivered moisture during the calendar year 2017. With an average moisture of 12.64% that exceeds the guarantee plus allowance, 59% of the measured representative samples were found to be claimable. When the data set is distributed over 91,000 tons annually, the claims awarded, taking into account an adjustment for wins in analytical sampling and method repeatability, was established to be worth $238,000. This is a conservative annual estimate, as 31% of the off-spec samples tested over 13%, and each of those shipments would have a higher rebate to the buyer. This table shows the 2 tiers for moisture claims and the typical quality guarantees and allowances for a 46% protein soybean meal. It is important to emphasize if quality is outside of the allowed variation, then the claim is paid from the basis of the guaranteed level or the full quality deficiency, which is the level you as a buyer expect for consistency. Each parameter shown has an assigned claim value for every 0.1% deficiency. Fiber or crude fiber has the highest award for soybean meal. It is 5 times more impactful to the delivered value of soybean meal as compared to protein or moisture. The quality specification allowances are determined by the American Oilseed Chemists Association, or AOCS, and the National Oilseed Producers Association, or NOPA, and are reinforced with lab accreditation performance criteria. Soybean crop production, manufacturing, sampling, and test methods all contribute to the real-world variation measured in soybean meal. In general, oilseed producers push average quality targets close to the specification due to production economics. Visit NOPA.org to review the trading rules for U.S. soybean meal, which covers the approved laboratory methods, a valuable reference for your FOSS NIR program. Also note that ISO standard 12099 covers NIR performance protocols. The referee laboratory accreditation process, you'll want to make note of the listing of approved labs and review the full process for claims handling, claims payment protocols based on volume, price, and quality specification on soybean meal shipments.
Thank you, Andy. Now that we understand where claims are coming from, let's continue with the 2018 data. I often hear that customers know there is some variation in their raw material. Generally, they say, but on average, it is good enough. Is good on average good enough? Let that question sink in for a minute. Is good on average good enough? On this slide, we continue with the same customers' data for 2018. This includes the first 7 months of the year. It does not include harvest, meaning it is the time of the year when you would expect your meal to be the most stable, to be the most consistent. Let's start by looking at the moisture again. In comparison to 2017, there's a big change in 2018. The average quality is being delivered with a standard deviation lower than the guaranteed allowance. Is that good enough for your feed products and feed formulation controls? Moisture over the first 7 months were more in line with the contract guarantees. Thus, the claims value on moisture decreased. In fact, it decreased to just $55,000 on 74,000 tons of soybean meal. But that is still $55,000 in moisture claims alone. What do you think that means for your fiber and your protein? In 2017, they were not prompting claims. Remember again, this is the time of the year when you would expect consistency. So let's take a look. Looking at the 2018 fiber data, you see some serious fiber spikes. More than likely, these came from process upsets and startups in the manufacturing of the meal. What would the impact of those undetected deliveries be on your feed performance, on your brand? Are you measuring enough to catch these? If you were testing with NIR, you would be armed with the knowledge of the actual nutrient content of your raw materials. You could avoid these deliveries from impacting you and claim against the off-spec deliveries themselves. If you remember back a few times when Andy spoke about the allowed variation in fiber, fiber was worth 5 times more than the other nutrient guarantees. Given that, in this case, it was shown to have the highest source of quality impact at $130,000. Remember, fiber is the most punitive. It has the highest reward and is the lowest allowance for variation. So it is a place where most people aren't trying to do claims, and yet it's a place where they could be getting the most back. Let's continue with the 2018 protein data. One would look at these deliveries and think there are no claims I can show you here. In fact, only 5% of the deliveries were even below specification. And if I asked you, are you getting what you paid for? More than likely, you would overwhelmingly tell me more than I paid for and that this was a great supplier. But my next question would be, how are you assigning an average protein to this for your formulation? Looking at the trend in front of you, it would be extremely difficult to assign an average protein value. How do you control this kind of variation in your formulation? It becomes an even bigger problem if you are overformulating your protein because of the uncertainty or variability in your ingredients. In that case, you probably have a large safety margin built in. You are overformulating protein and giving away protein. That becomes an even larger loss than what you could ever get back on claims. The claims in protein are not the point of this slide, even though, as you will see on the next slide, they were worth $21,000. The point to this slide is the variation and variability. Having NIR as a tool would enable more testing and the ability to handle the variability in your raw materials. Looking at everything from 2018 as a whole, with a $22 per ton increase in price, the claim awards for the first 7 months of 2018 were approaching the total for the full year in 2017. Again, if you remember, this did not include the variation that comes during harvest. So we have included and added that to the annual estimate for 2018 at the bottom. The claims dollars in no way attempt to account value for the full impact of variation to your nutrition programs, but they do shed some meaningful light via a systematic quality guarantee claims process. We know that the nutrient content varies from shipment to shipment, from truck to truck. Knowing this variation is key to improving your profitability. There is a huge value to the buyer by having a program where you hold your suppliers accountable. If you have a good quality system where you are catching claims, you are going to get improved product consistency, resulting in minimal recalls and better customer relationships. In order to have a good claims process and manage that variability, you as a buyer must have a process in place to make those decisions. The more confidence you have in that process, the more effectively you can manage that variability. NIR is a tool to help you sharpen your skills and decide what is allowable in your business and allowable to go into your formulation system, or what should have a claim filed in it. Feed ingredients have natural and unavoidable variation. How do feed producers best deliver consistent feed product with variable ingredients and do so as profitably as possible? We believe part of the answer is our NIR feed analysis solution.
Thank you for participating in our NIR feed webinar. I hope you found this information useful. If you have any questions or would like to know more about FOSS solutions, I would invite you to reach out to one of our specialists who will be happy to discuss your interest and provide a free consultation to determine if NIR feed analysis is right for your business.